I am your host, Rachel Arnold, and I'm the CEO and founder of World Plasma Training. Those of you that are doing research, you're not sure what pen to go with, I highly recommend, of course, doing tons and tons of research. Look up YouTube videos, ask manufacturer lots of questions, ask me tons of questions. We want to make sure that you have all your questions answered. So this here you're seeing burning, you see smoke, you see a yellow spark. You see how they have to get really, really close to the skin. This is not true plasma. These are electric pens. Some of you guys, I'm sure, are very familiar with these. So I call them skin burning pens. Here is what a true plasma pen should actually look like. So you see these white dots, and if you look really closely, you can see a tiny pinprick of black in the center of these white dots. So I think this is really exciting because this shows you a visual difference in the pens. This is what the Plaxel looks like when working on someone's skin. You see those white dots, you see a purple spark. That spark jumps from the needle to the skin, so you don't have to get as close and possibly puncture the skin with the needle. You're never supposed to touch the skin with the needle. There's kind of an exception to that we'll talk about later. You should not have any bleeding. It should smell more like ozone and not burning skin. Those of you that have used the electric pens know that your entire room or your entire spa will smell like burning skin after you've done a treatment with an electric pen. So with a true plasma pen, you don't have that smell. So your clients aren't complaining about it. You don't feel like you're burning their face off because you're not. With a true plasma pen, you're not making these superficial scabs, and you're not seeing tons of smoke. Smoke is not sublimation like a lot of us are told in our training. That's not what sublimation is. We'll talk about what that really is in a little bit. A few things that we're going to talk about in this masterclass today is that we're going to talk about what exactly is plasma and what you should be looking for, the differences in the pens and why that actually matters, and how you can actually still use your electric pen if you do have one, how you can learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to make those same mistakes and lose precious time and money making mistakes like I did, and how you can find out if you can legally perform this service where you are, because that is a requirement to come on board with us. You need to know that you can legally perform the service. And then also we'll talk about how much you can earn as a plasma technician and what prices you should charge. They're just suggestions, so you can really charge what you feel like you need to charge. And you're also going to learn how you can become a top performing plasma technician and generate a brand new revenue stream in as little as 2 weeks. We all know that we love skin, we love aesthetics, we love beauty, we love what we do, but we also have to make some money too, right? Otherwise we can't do what we do. This masterclass is really for a specific group of people. So if you are a qualified esthetician or beautician, they call it different things all over the world, but if you're looking to add a brand new cutting edge service to your arsenal of services, then you're definitely in the right place. If you have checked with your state officials or your country, your province, your officials in your area, and you know that the regulations allow for you to provide this service, great. If you haven't done this yet, then don't worry. We'll guide you in the right direction if you need some help figuring out if you can perform this service. If you were sold an electric or mill removal pen and you just can't seem to see results like you were promised, then you're in the right place. If you just don't feel like you have the right tools or the right training, that's kind of where I was for a long time. I felt just this gut feeling like I didn't have what I was supposed to have to give this great service to my clients. So our goals here are to really just share with you what you need to know before getting started with the plasma skin tightening service so that you can avoid some of the most common pitfalls that a lot of us go through that will cost you some time and money. So we want to help you avoid that. We want to show you how you can offer something completely new that will provide the incredible results that you and your clients really, really want. We're going to set realistic expectations as well, because we know we have those clients that just expect to look 50 years younger with one treatment, and we know how unrealistic that is. So we also want to show you the fastest way to become a top performing plasma fibroblast technician in your area. And we want to teach you how to make great money doing this. So today I'll break down the potential earnings that the plasma treatment can do for you and your business. And then for joining today's masterclass, we will be sending you a copy of the rates that we recommend charging your clients for all of the different plasma treatments. I realized that I really wanted to offer something new and cutting edge, and I just randomly stumbled on this whole plasma fibroblast thing a few years ago. Did some research and was like, I don't know where anyone is training on this. I don't know if this is legit. I just kind of jumped in, found the best training that I could find at the time. I felt like I was kind of ripped off. I think that training that I went through could have offered me a lot more and prepared me a lot more for this plasma industry. So that's what I'm here to do, is really prepare everyone that comes on board for really what to expect, and give you all the tools you need to be successful and not cut corners, and really just be there for you. That's what I want. I don't want anyone to come on board and go through what I went through, because that was terrible. It wasn't terrible, it was just not the best. So I went on with lots of practice to discover a lot of my own solutions that I pass on to you when you come on board. I continue to refine all of my skills and discover new techniques. The plasma fibroblast technology, the technique, the service, is still very, very new. So we're still learning a lot about it. And we can't say to our clients, this is going to erase all of your wrinkles, because there are so many factors that go into that. So I'm not making claims that this is going to make your clients 50 years younger or look 50 years younger. All of the information that I'm presenting today and that I present in our training is based on my personal experience with tons and tons and tons of trial and error, and just a lot of wasted time, a lot of mistakes. Also, the FDA does not regulate this service yet. Plasma pens are not intended to and have not been scientifically proven to treat or cure anything. Just want to make that very, very clear. Plasma energy and blood plasma are two totally different things. Plasma is an ionized gas. In our pens, it's ionizing the oxygen, which is our atmospheric gas, creating this plasma spark inside of the pen that shoots out of the needle and onto the skin. Contraindications with this service are very, very similar to laser. So anyone that has inflamed skin or serious skin conditions, not a candidate. And then what you can treat is all the expression lines on the face: crow's feet, frown lines, smile lines, marionette lines, the 11s, eyelids. Some call it a non-surgical blepharoplasty. I don't like to call it that, because sometimes you're making claims that you can get in trouble with. So I'm very careful what I call these different treatments. I talk about improving the skin instead of erasing fine lines and wrinkles, because we can't say that. But all the expression lines on the face, the forehead lines. You can do neck lifting. So anyone that has the saggy turkey neck or just loose skin there, you can lift. Super crepey loose skin is really what this is best for. The mommy tummies, we've had some great results there. The loose skin on the knees. Some people like to do the arms, the bat wings. So there are several different kinds of body treatments you can do. Skin tag removal, some mole removal, sunspot removal you can do. Some types of stretch marks work. Some types of scars work. There are a lot of trainers out there that will tell you you can do tattoo removal. I don't recommend that at all. You're more likely to scar someone if you're trying to remove tattoo ink with plasma, because that's not what it's for. I've not had good success with spider veins, so I don't recommend that. But even with all of that said, again, this is still new. People are still doing some cool experimenting. So you sign up and you go through the program and you experience something cool, or you discover something neat. We would love to hear about it. There are these electric pens that we talked about that are burning the skin. And then there are true plasma pens that are creating carbon crusting. So scabbing and carbon crusting are not the same thing. When true plasma hits the skin, what happens is it plows through the top two dead layers of skin cells, the stratum corneum and stratum lucidum. So that is what is creating that white dot. So the plasma energy is pushing those dead cells out of the way in a circular pattern, and that's what's creating that white dot. And then in the center of that white dot, you will see this tiny pinprick of black. And that is the head of the carbon crusting that's formed. So you'll see the head of it, and the rest of the carbon crust is inside of the epidermis. What is in theory happening is we are sublimating some of the skin cells that still contain cytoplasm or water. And then what does not sublimate is carbon. Carbon doesn't sublimate, so it's left behind. And then the skin has to push that carbon out. That stimulates the fibroblasts to produce more collagen and elastin because we're creating this controlled injury in the skin. And then that is what creates that tightening effect. So another way to identify if you have an electric pen or a true plasma pen is electric pens, and don't take this the wrong way, but electric pens will give you sometimes this instantaneous tightening effect. And that is not necessarily a true result because you're creating inflammation and you're burning. So if you have ever burned yourself and gotten kind of a significant burn and that skin feels very, very tight, it's a burn. It makes the skin tight, and then the skin has to heal itself. So what we're not trying to do is create heat shock protein in the skin. Some of that is necessary, but we're really trying to create collagen, which is going to help them with that elasticity and that youthful appearance. So that's one of the differences in the pens. The burn marks, the smoke, the burning skin smell, that's all identified as electric. With true plasma, you see that purple spark, and it truly does jump from the needle to the skin, so you don't have to get super close and possibly puncture with the needle. You're not creating bleeding with true plasma because the energy is being sent into the epidermis. If you end up having both pens at some point, test it on yourself. We don't recommend treating yourself, but I don't know if you guys can see where I've done some testing on my hand. You can feel the difference. You feel one just burning the surface, and you feel the other one actually entering the skin. So it is a very different feeling. It's a different smell. True plasma smells like ozone. Unless you singe a hair, then you'll get a little bit of the charring. Those are some main differences. If you're already a plasma fibroblast provider and you have an electric pen, that's what a lot of us went through. That's what I went through in the beginning. We buy into a program thinking that we're getting authentic plasma, and we're actually being sold a cheap electric pen that's not performing true plasma, and we don't even know. I just had a gut feeling because I was told what plasma was supposed to do, and the pen I was given wasn't doing those things. So that's really what set me on my search. So these electric pens are very affordable. That's another big difference. And true plasma pens are a little pricier because the technology is different. I think that a lot of these trainers and maybe some of the manufacturers just don't really know what true plasma is because they sort of jumped on the bandwagon and saw a great opportunity. So I think a lot of the confusion in the industry is just ignorance. They just don't know, but I mean, I could be wrong about that. I'm sure there's some charlatans out there too. We just really need to educate the public more about what true plasma is and help clear up some of that confusion. Again, an electric pen will expel an electric arc. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of a violet, but it turns yellow, and that's an electric spark that just burns the skin. And then, of course, plasma is violet color, and it doesn't burn the skin like we talked about. It leaves behind the white dot with the carbon crusting. What really sucks is that because there are so many electric pens out there, it has really tainted this industry. So you see a lot of these horror stories online, and you see some places starting to possibly ban, or they've already banned the service because these electric pens have hurt some people. But hopefully we can dispel some of that and get more people trained in true plasma so that we can offer this service safely and get it more regulated. That's the goal. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was that one of the main differences between these pens that you can't see just by looking at them is that power and the technology inside of them are so, so important. It really matters. These pens have to be so specifically dialed in on the correct power. There's a lot more that goes into that, but in summary, most of these pens are not set correctly. So when you're doing your research, make sure to look for videos of that pen actually performing a service on actual skin, because that's one of the biggest tells. You can see it burning or you can see it leaving carbon crusting. Yeah, don't ever just take someone's word for it. Don't even take my word for it. Like, do your research. I learned that the hard way, so you don't need to learn the hard way. So let's talk about some myths surrounding plasma. I think a couple of these that we've talked on a little bit already, but number one, plasma creates instant results and they're amazing. Not always. If you've been providing skincare services for a while, then you've probably noticed that some of what you offer will sometimes give some people awesome results, and other people not so much. So this is kind of one of those things too, is it takes a lot of practice. You gotta really know skin, know what to look for, know how to treat that type of skin, know how to approach it, know what to pair with the plasma, and then attack their their diet, their habits at home, all of that we talk about in consultations. The electric pens, like I said, will sometimes cause that burn effect that gives a client this instant tightening, and they think that, wow, it's working immediately. You cannot grow collagen immediately. I'm sorry, you just can't do it. It's not possible. It takes time to build collagen in the skin, so you're not always going to see these instantaneous results. For those people that don't want injections, they don't want surgery, like, they're going to be a little more patient. You just have to set their expectations. It is okay if you're not getting an instant result. Number two, scabs and carbon crusting are the same. They are not the same. Scabbing comes in when you've got platelets that are coming into the injury to form a scab. Carbon crust is carbon, not platelets. They're different. Another myth that I've heard quite a bit, all pens are the same. They are not the same for reasons we already talked about. That power has to be dialed in just precisely. Plasma is created by ionizing gas and not just an electric charge. So all pens are not the same. A lot of these pens are the same, but not all of them are the same. Number four, only the technology from Germany or Korea is any good. So another thing I've learned from these engineers is that not everything that comes from China is bad, which surprised me, because a lot of times when we buy things from China, it breaks right away, right? We feel like stuff that comes from China is cheap and it doesn't work well. Well, most of these pens have parts that come from everywhere, including China, or they're assembled somewhere else or whatever. The Plaxil pen does come from Korea. It doesn't come from China. It does come from Korea, but that's not necessarily what makes it the best pen out there. It's the technology that's inside, that's dialed in and fine-tuned to be true plasma. That's what makes it good. Number five, plasma is illegal. If you're in Canada, plasma is illegal because, some people got hurt with electric pens, so they just outlawed it. Plasma, for the most part, in most areas, is in a very gray area. Some people will tell you it's illegal. Some people will tell you it's not, as long as you provide some disclaimer to your clients that it's not regulated. It's just, there's a lot of confusing information in there on who can and cannot offer it. Myth number six is insurance won't cover this at all. There are some insurance companies that will cover the service. However, what you have to understand about insurance companies is they will only cover you for what you are able to offer inside of your scope of practice legally. So you have to know if you can legally offer this service, because if you get signed up with an insurance company, it's like, oh yeah, we cover plasma, but your state officials, your country, whatever, says, no, you can't perform this, it's out of your scope of practice, then you're not actually covered by insurance. But yes, there are insurance companies that do cover plasma. Oh, the other myth with that is the pen has to be FDA approved in order for insurance to cover it. There are insurance companies that don't care about that because none of these pens are FDA approved. Myth number 7 is, oh, the market is so saturated. It's not saturated because most people are performing an electric pen service, a skin burning service, and not a true plasma service. So there are not a ton of people out there yet performing true plasma. We are in this phase of the industry that I like to call the growth phase, transitioning into the sweet spot phase. The sweet spot phase is where most people are kind of educated about plasma and they know what to look for and they really want it and they're coming to you. We're kind of right before that. So we're still in this sort of education phase where we have to educate the public on what to look for with true plasma versus electric. We actually have this really great video that you can use when you go through our training program that will help you educate your clients or potential clients. In the beginning, when I got started, I had the complete wrong mindset about this. I was very, very, very excited about it. And I did as much research as I could, but I still kind of ignored my gut feeling. I knew that the pen that I had was not a true plasma pen. I just had this feeling that I did not have a great pen because of what I was doing, what I was being told I was supposed to do, didn't line up. And then some other things that happened in the training that just made me think, why is she talking about this other pen and she gave me this one? That was confusing. There's some confusing things that happened that made my gut go, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. Thing I had in my mind was, everyone's going to want this and everyone's going to see these amazing results. This is the future of skincare and this is going to be awesome. What I was not told was the downtime and the issues around that downtime and clients not wanting to do this because of the downtime. And that was really disappointing. It seems like common sense now because there's all these videos out there and pictures about all these burning dots, all over people's faces. That wasn't quite as prevalent back then. So I didn't really realize that these were, one, burning dots on the skin, and two, that they were going to stay on the skin for like a week. I've solved that problem, by the way. We have a special makeup that is made for inflamed skin that your clients can put on top of it and conceal it, go back to work, whatever. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But in the beginning, I didn't know to ask those questions. So I wish somebody would have told me or warned me, and that's why I'm telling you about it. So I also thought that I could charge like $2,000 for a treatment because this is going to be just as good as surgery, if not better. No, that's not accurate. So we'll go into pricing recommendations a little bit later. It's not a good idea to charge $2,000 to do somebody's eyelids because they're not going to get that surgery effect immediately. It's going to take some time. We'll get into that. Like I said, I thought I was going to meet people just look 20 years younger with one treatment because that was kind of how in the beginning it was being sold. And I think some people are still selling it that way today, but that's just not accurate. If you know anything about skin, you know that that sounds way too good to be true, and it is. The types of results when I started to practice outside of training were decent. So another disclaimer, I'm not going to tell you that you cannot see results with electric pens. You can. Just for me, I felt like I was sort of lying to people because I knew I had an electric pen and it wasn't real plasma and I was calling it plasma. I felt like I had wasted a lot of valuable time chasing this plasma fibroblast thing that was never going to work for me and work for my client. So I felt pretty let down. But that also motivated me to turn all that around, make something good out of it. And, here we are. Everybody always wants to know, how much can I charge? How much money can I make? This is what you'll get a copy of for registering today. The average plasma treatment is about $500. We don't recommend going below like $250, $300 for a small area. And this is all in US dollars. If you're not sure what that translates to in your currency, Google is your best friend. You can use Google, figure out what that translates to. This is also a list of all the different areas. This is not an all-inclusive list, but it's pretty extensive for what most people are going to be doing. All the areas on the upper face, the eyes, the lower face, the neck, body. And then real quick, a lot of times if people want upper and lower lids, I generally break those up into 2 sessions because eyes will swell a lot. And you don't want to scare your clients, you don't want to freak them out by doing both and then their eyes like are really, really swollen. Sometimes if you have a medical director, if you're in a medical spa, you can charge a lot more than these prices, but these are the general like rock bottom. This is kind of what we recommend starting at. So for example, if you were to take on just 2 clients for plasma a week at $500 each, that's an extra $4,000 a month, an extra $48,000 a year. Your cost per treatment is super, super low. These needles are very, very cheap. So like once you've got your investment paid off, it's mostly pure profit. You can choose to sell your aftercare if you want to. I include the aftercare. I don't include the makeup because that's not necessary for healing. I do include the aftercare, and that's about $35, $40 investment, I guess, on my part. So cost per treatment is very, very low. So if you were to do like 3 clients a week, and that was $500 a treatment on average, that'd be an extra $6,000 a month or $72,000 a year. That's great. And then again, most clients will come back for more than one. And that's something I always talk to my clients about is you're probably going to need more than one treatment. A lot of times I'll charge them like half price for their second one. You don't have to do that. It's just something I do. A lot of your treatments are going to cost more than that. So you'll be making even more than that. The best way to do that is to contact your local officials and ask them, because we legally cannot tell you one way or the other. It's really your responsibility to contact your local officials to see what regulations they have or don't have on plasma. Every area is totally different. In order to train with us and purchase a device, you must be legally able to provide plasma in your area. We're not responsible. We don't want to be responsible for, if you don't do your research and you sign up and then all of a sudden you realize you can't do it, because once those safety seals are taken off the pen, you can't return it. Manufacturer won't refund it. There is a 1-year warranty on it, by the way. We'll get to that, but like if your pen stops working, we'll replace it, no problem. The Plaxil device and our training program is not intended for personal use for people that are not skincare professionals. So we really want people who are qualified estheticians, qualified medical technicians, people that have the right qualifications. That's who we want in our program. When you call your local officials to find out if you can provide this service, a lot of times they're just going to say yes or no, or we don't regulate that. So you just have to kind of make up your own choice on whether or not you want to offer it. But if they do ask you some questions, what it's recommended to let them know is that you're not going to be using a skin burning pen that most people think is a plasma pen, that you're going to be using the latest, safest technology that is true plasma energy. You are working in the epidermis. We are not treating the dermis. The plasma does not go into the dermis, doesn't cause bleeding. There is an energy transfer that happens there that stimulates the fibroblast cells to produce collagen, but we're not going into the dermis. We're not treating the dermis itself with the plasma, which is what most of these local officials care about, because most of us estheticians are only allowed to treat the epidermis. So you can be rest assured that the Plaxil pen is treating the epidermis. And the needle never touches the skin. So there are a lot of regulations with estheticians and needles. We're not puncturing the skin with needles at all. Those top 3 points there about using a true plasma pen as an energy device, it's working in the epidermis, that's really what they care about. And you're not using a needle to puncture the skin. That's generally what they care about when you are trying to get permission to offer the service. Best thing though is just get a medical director, and then they'll completely leave you alone. I really hope that all of you are, you're like me, and that you really want to change the future of this industry by doing things the right way and by using the equipment that's not going to hurt people, and learning how to use your equipment to help your clients and not hurt them. We really need to educate the masses that this can be done safely, and you can produce incredible results if you know what you're doing and you know what to pair with plasma. There are some questions that you really should ask yourself before you get started doing plasma. Basically, are you really the type of person that strives to be an industry leader? We're in this phase where we really have to educate the public. So if you don't want to be part of that education and you just kind of want to ride the wave after everybody knows what this is all about, then this may not be the best thing for you. You really need to promise yourself that you're going to educate yourself on what true plasma is, and you are going to pass that education on to your clients and other professionals in the industry, because we're really paving the way right now with this new technology that is true plasma. So if you don't really want to be an industry leader, you don't really want to be that in that educational role, this may not be the best service for you. But I think most of you here do want that. You do want to be the first in your area to offer this. And then, do you value your reputation as a skincare specialist? Most people here do. I know I do, which is why I didn't want to offer an electric skin burning service. I wanted to offer true plasma because I value my reputation and I didn't want to hurt people. I didn't want to have negative reviews online. I didn't want to hurt this industry by damaging someone's skin and then them running to, the FDA or wherever and then getting this banned. I value my reputation. I value the reputation of plasma. And I think a lot of you guys do too. So it's another important question to ask yourself. Now, would you be comfortable performing a treatment on your patient or your client with a device that doesn't use proper plasma and has the potential to scar them or produce a result that's not great? I think most of you would say no. But if you did answer yes to that, this is not the program for you at all. Just want to be clear about that. So here's an example of an electric pen treatment gone bad. This is what electric looks like. Those burn marks. They're just burns. I think this was like 2 or 3 days later on her. This is not my client, by the way. If we could show you another face just like this with a true plasma, you would not see this much swelling, for one. There is going to still be some swelling. And two, the dots look very different. You can actually see that as a carbon crust that has come up out of the skin, and it's a bump and not a scab like this. This is a plasma treatment immediately afterwards. So this top photo is before applying any product. So those are the white dots or the cream colored dots from pushing those dead cells over the way with the plasma. And then if you look really close, you can see some of the tiny black dots on the inside of these white dots. And then when you apply the microtonic that we recommend using afterwards, all the white goes away, and like this with a little bit of the white still there. Most of it's gone, but you see just the head of this carbon crusting that was created on the inside of the epidermis. Here is another example of an electric pen after treatment. These are burns, and this poor person was probably scarred after this. I don't have additional photos. This is not my client, but this is what an electric pen treatment looks like afterwards with someone that was very, very aggressive. This is a plasma pen treatment. This is with the new Plaxil. So immediately after, you see these white dots, and when you wear magnifiers, that's when you can really see the tiny black in the center of the white. So I always recommend to wear loupes or magnifying glasses so you can see what you're doing. So here's the white dots. Here is after microtonic and microgel, which is our aftercare that we recommend. 24 hours later, you see redness, inflammation, some swelling. This is typically what it looks like 2 to 3 days later. Some of that inflammation goes down, and then the carbon crusting starts to come up to the surface. So again, if you look really close, these are not flat scabs. These are raised up carbon crusts that have emerged out of the skin. Very, very different. So I tell everyone that downtime is similar. It's about 7 to 10 days, a little longer for the body, but the healing process is very distinctly different. And then, of course, this is her. This is my client 6 days later. Whether or not you guys choose Plaxil or our training program, I really hope that you make a smart decision for yourself and for your clients, and you choose a device and a training that offers true plasma, and they tell you how to use that true plasma and offer you some great support. When you come on board with us, if you choose to do so, we would love to have you. You don't have a certain time limit to go through our training. Some people will go through it in a day. They'll just knock it all out, and then they'll get their models lined up. Some people like to take more time. to go through it slower, and that's fine. Some people like to watch the video several times. You don't have a time limit. So it's not like, oh, you have to get this done in 3 months or you're kicked out. No, you have unlimited access to the online training. So you'll have the main training portion, and then there's an extra section with extra treatment videos if you need to see more treatments. We just added a microchanneling training that is just free because I think microchanneling is so important to be able to offer alongside plasma. There are other treatments too, like your chemical peels, your facials, if you do hydrofacials, if you do cryofacials, like all of those things can work synergistically with plasma, getting your client's skin ready for the plasma treatment. I just love the combination of microchanneling and plasma. They just really work well together. Again, not in the same session, but microchanneling is very, very similar to microneedling. I use a system called ProCell. So it has wire filaments inside of the cartridge instead of needles, which creates a cleaner channel, less painful. You don't have to go as deep. There are a lot of great benefits to it. Itself is impossible to contaminate, so you're never going to cross-contaminate your clients. The equipment is not included, the products are not included, but we'll connect you with our rep and you will get a discount for being a student if you want to add that service. A little bit more about the Plaxil device. Obviously, it performs true plasma. You get the purple spark, the ozone smell, the no bleeding, no scabbing. It is considered non-invasive because we're not going into the dermis. It is inducing collagen production. You're not going to scar someone if you do it correctly. What you don't want to do is rush through training and start working on people, not knowing what you're doing, and hurt somebody. So we're going to make sure you don't hurt people. And it's also really hard to hurt someone with this pen. The True Plasma technology makes it a lot safer. You also do get a 1-year manufacturer's warranty. Lately, we have had an issue with customs taking the needles out. So when you sign up, I will be sending those to you separately because the manufacturer is just not putting the needles in the kit anymore. You'll get the other tips in there, but not the needles. I will send those to you. This is everything that you get. You get that heavy duty carrying case, which is very nice if you like to transport it. You get a really nice metal stand. You get the adapter. We go over the ball tip in training for sure. That thing's awesome for erasing superficial fine lines. The flat cold plasma tip, you learn in training how to do a cold plasma facial or incorporate that into your facials. So that tip is included, and it is mainly for helping the skin to absorb the active ingredients a lot better. You get 100 needles in your kit. I like to throw in some extras if you get the skincare kit, and you get a 6-foot cord. We always recommend having the pen plugged in for consistent power. And then of course you get that certificate of warranty and authenticity. There are 2 versions of Plaxil, the regular Plaxil and there's Plaxil Plus. They are the exact same pen, the exact same, except Plaxil Plus has a rechargeable capability. The manufacturer cannot ship the battery overseas, so you have to find one. They're very easy to find, but we always recommend having it plugged in anyway for consistent power. So if you do need that rechargeable capability, that is an option with Plaxil Plus. It's a tad more expensive, not by much. They both have the safety certifications, that CE stamp. They both do the same true plasma technology. If you want pricing on just the Plaxil pen, you'll need to message us. We're not allowed to post the price of the pen because the manufacturer doesn't want us to. We also have to make sure that you are qualified to get a pen and do the training. With the full package, you also get the skincare kit. If you want more details about the skincare, I know we're like getting really long here now, but you can go to worldplasmashop.com, and they're completely organic, all natural, very good for the skin. They are made specifically for wound healing. So they're amazing for permanent makeup and for plasma. That's what they're created for. Our goal is to make you one of the best technicians in the world. We want to be producing, and we feel that we do produce the top 20% of technicians in the world. Part of that is because we have a true plasma pen, and part of that is great training. So the goal is to give you all the support that you need to make you successful and make you in that top 20%.